Brand new segment. Blake's terrible Twitter takes.
God, he's gonna hate this so much.
Oh my God, it's the one thing he has.
Like, what?
You know what I was thinking about earlier today? Did you see that story of that fucking dumbass guy in uh Philadelphia, I think it was, that was eating that rotisserie chicken every day during the playoffs of the MLB?
No.
He was eating a rotisserie chicken every day for 40 days, and of course, like, because only the city of Philadelphia would find that cool, they, like, this guy, like, became internet famous, and then, like, dipshits at, like, Barstool Sports were like, so epic, guy eats 40 rotisserie chickens in 40 days. And there's videos of him, like, on Twitter, literally on an abandoned pier in Philadelphia, like, eating a rotisserie chicken, and all these dumbasses in Philly, like, yeah, fucking chicken guy. And I feel like
Bro,
that perfectly encapsulates what Philadelphia is.
Send the goddamn flood. Send the flood. I'm done. I don't even give a fuck anymore.
Like, I hate these fucking people that do just make a life out of just being dumb, annoying people. Which is, and the only reason I hate it is because I want to be that guy, and it's not working out for me. So I'm jealous.
That makes sense.
And it also reminded me of the fact that Aaron Judge's head is like 3 times the size of Barry Bonds' head, but for some reason they refused to test him for steroids. Which I think
threw him on the fucking front of whatever it was. I don't know what magazine. People keep reposting it, but I'm like, this motherfucker has the biggest head I've ever seen.
I have never seen a more clear indication that someone is taking steroids than that guy's head. Like, you
it's
don't
like
even
this
have
Liver King shit. They're like, yeah, he's no PEDs. Like, he's supernatural. He's just like, it's just gifted. And you're like, what the fuck are you saying?
He's like, that guy is perfect. He's the fucking type of guy that, it's so funny. He's like the perfect scam artist. Like, he sold like this just eat raw liver to all these like MAGA fucking idiots that were like, yeah, it's all about just being natural, being one with the earth. The entire time he was taking fucking steroids.
Right, this makes sense.
Shit, that's so good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're your hosts, Blake and Christian. We are missing the girl of the show, Trey Seville, because he went back to his roots. He went back to his trailer in Alabama, and he does not have internet there. So
prepare for Totally Biased Uncut with a liberal snowflake to tell us what to do.
Totally Biased Unleashed. Good luck trying to cancel these guys. That's our Netflix special. Just us on the cover, like with socks over our necks.
The promo's just Trey shaking his head at every comment.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, Trey tried to steal his roommate's internet, didn't work out, or his neighbor's internet. I shit you not, it's a real thing that happened. He tried to go to his neighbor's house under his neighbor's porch to use his internet. That is a real and true thing. I swear to God. I know I joke a lot on this show, but that actually happened, and he couldn't get it to work. So,
what a poor! Like, he's such a poor. Like, you don't have internet.
Yeah, like Trey acts like he has. Like, my theory is that Trey stole somebody's Spotify Wrapped, and that he only uses the free version of Pandora. Because he can't afford actually subscribing to Spotify.
Yo, honestly, this is what he gets. This is just him being reprimanded for fucking Pine Grove being his number one.
Yeah, it finally caught up to him. Like,
the internet's literally like, no, like, this kid can't listen to music anymore.
His internet service provider is like, I can't allow this to continue.
No, like, super gay. He's out of here.
Okay, today we're reviewing Nevermind from Nirvana, one of the greatest albums of all time, an Apple Music intro Drummer Dave Grohl once said that the metaphor that kept coming while Nirvana was recording Nevermind was children's music. Listen and you can hear it. The sing-song melodies, the simple performances, the way it feels direct but also a little haunted. For however much the band is framed as ambassadors for generational angst, what makes Nevermind special isn't its rage, but its innocence. Of course, they wanted to tear down the culture that came before it. It was often misogynistic and cruel, but in its place, they wanted to build something equitable and new. I'm so horny, that's okay, my will is good, Cobain sings on Lithium. And it's funny, it's dumb, it's simple, it's wise, and it hits like a bolt of lightning. His will, it is good. So, Christian, I was a huge Nirvana fan when I was young. What about you? Were you into this type of music, or was it not something that ever kind of crossed your radar?
It wasn't something that initially came up to me. So, like, from my parents, I think my dad just kind of missed the era a little bit. He was not necessarily missed it, but I don't think it meant as much to him. His brother was like 10 years younger than him, and that was his thing. So I kind of grew up with more like Pearl Jam and shit like that, and didn't get to dive into Nirvana kind of until probably middle school, when my uncle like introduced me to this album, and it was just, it fucking blew me away, and I became obsessed with it. And it was just perfect timing too, because it was like I was in that fucking skater phase where
Right.
the angst of everything in my difficult life growing up as a child in Helena, Alabama, you
Yeah.
know, it really all came to a head with this album.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. I don't know really what initially sparked the interest in Nirvana. My parents were not big Nirvana fans, right? Like my parents were born in the 60s. My parents listened to old music, and they definitely got me into listening to Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and things of that nature. I don't really know how I stumbled upon Nirvana. I think it might have been just friends I was around at the time, but it was the first music that I remember being truly like obsessed with. Like, I bought Kurt Cobain biographies, and I listened to Nirvana. I listened to Nevermind specifically just constantly. And like you said, like I was probably around the end of middle school at that time, or early middle school. And that's like when all of your angst is like coming out. And even if your life isn't hard, right, in retrospect, like during that time, everything's the biggest deal ever. And it was just Kurt's like rage and sadness, and also his simplicity in the music and in that album that kind of hooked me to it. But still to this day, it's like it's one of my Nirvana's my favorite band of all time. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. And I even remember one of the first times I ever saw Bass Nectar, he played an In Bloom remix. That In Bloom remix he used to play, and I remember thinking like, yeah, I've found kind of my niche. Because he was very much a grunge. I considered him like a grunge version of electronic music, you know. So yeah, that's kind of where I was. I've always been a huge fan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, it's funny because I'm pretty sure I wore the same, like through middle school, Nirvana shirt with an independent hoodie over it every single day for a year. I had a shaved head, pipe in the backyard, and we had this like shitty fucking boom box that we dropped Nevermind on the CD, and would just literally ride the half pipe for hours. And the amount of angst that came out of those sessions is just fucking insane. I mean, the representation of that he had for as large of a group of people for a long of a time in as short of a time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it still is baffling to me. Anytime I see movements like that within music that are so representative of that time and in that age group, it's just it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, it really, I mean, you're right. It's like, I don't think people fully realize now, like, especially if you don't listen to this music, if it hasn't been something you followed, like just the size of Nirvana and that grunge movement, right? It was very much it was a statement of like, look, this is the end of what you thought rock music was, and this is what rock music is now, right? You can't fight this anymore. We're here. And like his voice in particular, Nirvana in particular, not to say there weren't other grunge bands and other heavy metal type bands, but like this really took that type of music to the forefront, and it kind of gave a voice to a generation of kids that were in high school in the 90s, right? The Gen X generation that kind of felt like that generation is kind of this weird in-between generation, right? They didn't have the glamours of the baby boomer generation, and they're not millennials. They're kind of stuck in this weird in-between phase. And Nirvana just perfectly like encapsulates that. And it would have been, I wish like, I guess my age groups that I deal with, it's like us and then my parents' age. So I've never really talked to somebody about that influence they had when they were teenagers. I'd love to talk to somebody about it just to kind of relive what it was like. But I remember, CNN does those 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s things on Netflix. Like, and each episode focuses on a different thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have one on music, and they talk about Nirvana, and this lady says that the Smells Like Teen Spirit video was the Kennedy assassination of music. It was like when it aired for the first time, everybody, you can go ask anybody in that generation, they all know exactly where they were when they saw it and when they heard it for the first time, because it was like them realizing this is going to be like a monumental moment in music, which I just think is fucking insane.
And just in culture and life in general, like you were talking about them kind of being that weird, a little bit like in between type of generation. And I don't know, like going back, looking at those documentaries around Nirvana and this time, it was almost like this pressure had just started to build kind of out of nowhere. It's like there wasn't really anything they were being angry about, but it was just this like angst and anger that has just been building up. And I feel like Nirvana is this band that comes along and fucking pops the top on it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. I mean, just like not only in what was going on in America at the time and in international politics at the time, but in music too, right? They had these shitty 80s hair bands for 10 years, right? And that music, I mean, go back and listen to it, it's all the same fucking shit, and it gets old, right? Like you need a change. Just happens every 10 years in music, and they were just the forefront of that change. I pulled up the Wikipedia article on Nevermind, and one of the paragraphs they say, Nevermind and its singles success propelled Nirvana to being widely regarded as the biggest band in the world, with Cobain being dubbed by critics as the voice of a generation. The album brought grunge and alternative rock to a mainstream audience while ending the dominance of hair metal, drawing similarities to early 1960s British invasion of American popular music. It is also often credited with initiating a resurgence of interest in punk culture among teenagers and young adults of Generation X. It sold over 30 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling albums of all time. In March 1999, it was certified diamond by the RIAA. Among the most acclaimed and influential albums in history, it was added to the National Recording Registry in 2004 as, quote, culturally, historically, and aesthetically important, and is frequently ranked on lists of the greatest albums of all time. So with that being said, I think it's a perfect segue. Let's talk about the album and how we feel about it. Let's do least favorite songs first, because I feel like I'm going to have more to say about favorite songs. So what are your no-goes on this one?
And this isn't in any order. They were just ones that were just, I think, a little bit much to me and took away, I think, from the overall feel of the album, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I had Territorial Pissings, Endless, Nameless, and Stay Away.
Okay, that's fair. We probably I think we definitely align on the reasoning for Endless and Nameless. Endless and Nameless is also one of my bottom tracks. The beginning of it is just so fucking jarring, dude.
Yeah, I was just like,
yeah. Even for me,
it's like someone's coming down my throat. I was like, all right, this has got to go.
It's like someone's coming down your throat while you're getting like shocked in an electrical chair. Like, it's so much.
It's so much.
But what makes it even more jarring is it goes from Something in the Way, which is like this beautiful, like serenading, peaceful song, and then it just skull fucks you with Endless Nameless right after.
Balls on the chin. I was like, all right, this has got to end immediately.
So, Endless Nameless is one of my bottoms. Drain You, and then this is tough because I want to put Territorial Pissings too, although in the right mood, I really do like Territorial Pissings. I have a playlist I may have sent you guys. It's called Heavy Shit, and it's just like fucking bangers from like Metallica, Iron Maiden, Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, and like Territorial Pissings is on there because it's like the perfect song for that playlist. So if I'm in the right mood for it, I do like that song. But yeah, it's heavy grunge it's an acquired taste, man. It's pretty fucking aggressive. It's fucking aggressive. But yeah, so those are just tracks that I don't know. The only one I'd consider a bad song is Endless Nameless. I just don't really enjoy it, but I don't think the other ones are bad songs. I think I just have to be like in a mood to listen to them because they're so intense.
Yeah, okay, exactly.
Let's talk about favorites. I will mention real quick, Smells Like Teen Spirit has 1.5 billion streams on Spotify. Is that fucking
insane? That's fucking crazy.
So fucking crazy.
Anyway, alert, it's not in my top 3.
Okay, go ahead. What do you got?
So before I drop into this, I just have to say, going into and it's like songs I always listen through individually and stuff, but the amount of songs on this album that are probably in the top 25 of most recognizable songs ever is insane.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's fucking wild. Especially like the first half of the album is really where all those tracks are.
Yeah, and I was just and I was like, oh my god, it just blew me away because you know you'll have a song on an album where it's like one of the most recognizable, but to have like multiple in the first fucking front half, you're just like, what the fuck?
Right, instantly recognizable, like world renowned songs. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. This was fucking hard. So there's just a lot of leeway with these, but I think ones that just kind of mean the most to me, Bloom is number 1. And then 2, I have Lithium. It gets real washy for me at the end of how to pick a third, but I went with Polly just because those are the 3 songs that I think no matter setting, time of day, what I'm going through, like will always resonate with me.
Yeah. I think it's interesting you bring up Polly. I learned this forever ago and I think about it all the time, but Polly, apparently Kurt wrote it after he read a story about a girl that had been kidnapped and returned home. And you can hear it if you go listen to the song. That's what it's about. It's about like the kidnapper, like Polly wants to crack her. I think I should get off her first. Stuff like that. Yeah, so every time I hear that song, now that you know that, when you go back and listen to it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, this makes a lot exactly more fucking sense. But it is really good. I mean, it's like one of the only acoustic songs on the album, right? It's good. And I like when he has those songs where it's just him and his guitar and he can he's not doing that intense singing that he does, because it's not that he has a great voice, but his voice just really shines in certain aspects. Like you hear it in the Unplugged album, right? The Unplugged album is like critically acclaimed too. And when he sings songs like Man Who Sold the World and Where Did You Sleep Last Night, his voice just really fucking shines in those songs.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, Come As You Are is probably number 1 for me. Amazing song. I love the message in it, and I love the melody of it. It's great, and the unplugged version is even better. 2 is probably In Bloom. In Bloom is just, it's like catchy and kind of like poppy in a weird grunge way, like it's something you want to dance to.
Yeah.
It was about their manager. They wrote about their manager, how basically it was somebody, you can hear it in the lyrics, right? Knows all of our favorite songs and he loves to sing along, but he doesn't know what it means,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
think is really funny. Um, and then this, like you said, number 3 gets really hard because there are some songs, especially towards the end, like Something in the Way it's like a top Nirvana song for me, but the album is so good it's hard to put it on here. Something in a Way is fucking awesome. So my third is between that and On a Plane. I really like On a Plane.
So I fucking like Something the Way. It's amazing, but now, and you know what I'm about to say, the only
Yeah,
fucking thing I hear is
is fucking
Batman.
Batman.
All I see is Robert Pattinson
Yes, just stoically like I need to save the
walking through
city.
an alleyway. Yeah.
Yeah. No, what's really funny is all of my friends know that I'm a really big Nirvana fan, and I had literally 2 people text me after the movie and be like, "Yo, you're not gonna believe what they opened this movie up with." So that was really funny. And yeah, I mean, I got an honorable mention. You got to throw in "Smells Like Teen Spirit." The video's fucking
Yeah.
awesome. The song fucking
Yeah.
bangs. Like you can't throw shade on "Smells Like Teen Spirit." It's the one like
No.
a lot of bands have these popular songs where like if you're a big fan of them, when people play the popular song, you're like, can you fucking pick a different song? But like if somebody plays "Smells Like Teen Spirit," I'm like, yeah, let's ride. I
Yeah,
can do this right
exactly.
now.
It's you can't ever beat that fucking song. I just can't. It was one of those ones that's like because of what it is, I couldn't put it in my top 3.
Yeah. There is there's a album. It's like not an album that they consider it a compilation album. I think they released it under a compilation album, but there's an album called Insecticide, by Nirvana, and it's essentially B-sides for Nevermind because it was songs recorded between Bleach and Nevermind. If you haven't listened to it, you should go listen to it. I mean, obviously, it's like B-sides and demos and outtakes and shit. So, like, a lot of them aren't finished, flushed out songs. They're not very good. But there's a lot of good shit on there. And one of the songs is Aneurysm. It's my favorite Nirvana song. It should have been on Nevermind. I think it would have been probably the top song on this album. But if you haven't listened to it, if people listening to this haven't listened to it, they should go listen to Insecticide because there's some gems on there.
And you answered the question I was going to ask if you had an overall favorite song. So that's what's up.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of a cop out, but it's a really good fucking song.
I think mine is "Oh Me" is my favorite all time.
Really?
Yeah, there's just something about like his voice, especially in that unplugged version, that like gets me every time.
Yeah, Heart Shaped Box is another one for me. Heart Shaped Box is really fucking good. It's like the perfect blend of like slow Kurt and then this just aggressive when he gets to the chorus, the hey way, and it just fucking slams, dude. I love that song.
That's so sick.
So some of the mainstream reviews. So Rolling Stone, we found this out when we looked at Illmatic and Ready to Die. But I guess these early albums, they don't have like a number on them. They don't have like out of 5 stars. But they wrote this in 91, and the opening paragraph is, despite the hand-wringing the fansies do each time an indie rock hero signs a major label deal, righteous post-punk stars from Husker Du to Soundgarden have joined the corporate world with debasing their music. More often than not, ambitious left-of-the-dial bands gallantly cling to their principles as they plunge into the depths of commercial failure. Integrity is a heavy burden for those trying to scale the charts. Led by singer-guitarist Kurt Cobain, Nirvana is the latest underground bonus baby to test mainstream tolerance for alternative music. Given the small corner of public taste that non-metal guitar rock now commands, the Washington State's trio version of The Truth is probably as credible as anyone's. A dynamic mix of sizzling power chords, manic energy, and sonic restraint, Nirvana erects sturdy melodic structures sing-along hard rock as defined by groups like The Replacements, Pixies, and Sonic Youth, but then attacks them with frenzied screaming and guitar havoc. I thought it was cool. The start of the article sounds kind of like they're basically taking a shot at Nirvana, and they may be. I mean, if you read throughout the whole thing, but it was interesting for them to bring up like The Replacements and Pixies and Sonic Youth, and I just wanted to see kind of where you thought Nirvana landed in the group of what you would consider alternative or grunge rock music, right? Like, or even in heavy rock music, like where would you put them in bands like Metallica and the Pixies and Audioslave? Are they the pinnacle to you, or are they kind of lacking something that you want from a band like this?
I mean, in my opinion, I think they're the pinnacle just because of what they represented musically and culturally for that generation of the time. I mean, I think that speaks for itself. No matter what you ask me or anybody else, I think that's all that you really have to see is the influence that Nirvana had, especially this album, on that time, bringing this type of music kind of to the forefront, kind of taking a piss on the fucking hair rock bullshit and it not being pretty and it not being that. And it's like, it's literally filled with emotion. And that's the difference is, I think, because they represented so much more from a generational standpoint, that it is the pinnacle to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, like you said, culturally, whenever you think of a band, whenever you put together a list of bands, the greatest bands of all time, right, you have to consider what they did for music as a whole, what they did culturally. Like that has to be an aspect of it, right? You can't just look at how their music sounds. And I think Nirvana, along with people like Led Zeppelin, they pushed music and culture in a direction that without them probably would never have gone in that direction. I mean, maybe down the road it could have, but you see Nirvana influence in Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave and Radiohead, and their influence has affected so many bands down the line. But also, to me, it's just music that I love to listen to. I love Kurt's voice. I love the way it's composed, and the only band that comes close to it to me in this sort of genre is Audioslave, which we talked about in the Audioslave album, right? They're the only ones that are close to me, but really it's not the same kind of music. It's a little different in its own aspect.
It feels really different, especially after like doing that entire review. And I think, I don't know, that just kind of made me think about, you could, in my opinion, I think for some of those still really top bands like Audioslave, for example, you can put on, and there are going to be people who, you know, kind of love it or kind of hate it, and it is what it is. But I think with the majority of Nirvana songs, the type of emotion that it would evoke from any person is what makes them stand alone.
Yeah, no, I agree. Pitchfork gave it a 10. One of the few times I'll agree with Pitchfork. Headline being, 20 years on, the album that changed the course of popular music is reissued in 2 deluxe versions. The enduring brilliance of the original is at this point beyond dispute, but the value of demos, alternate mixes, and live cuts included on 2 new sets is debatable. Despite its tremendous influence on mainstream rock that followed, it's hard to think of another album that sounds much like Nirvana's Nevermind, a record with so much more pop and punk punch than any music it inspired. Of course, no Diamond certified canonically treasure hitting the 2-decade mark can be left well enough alone in 2011, especially one that changed the lives of a lot of people now approaching middle age, with the discretionary income to prove it. So they're calling the album a 10, but they're kind of taking shots at the fact that they've re-released the album so many times. What do you have an opinion on that? Like, artists like these older artists releasing deluxe and super deluxe and remastered deluxe and B-sides and shit, like it seems like all these older artists, and a lot of them being dead, so really record labels are putting out this stuff. I think on one hand you can make the argument it's cool that they do that, so you can hear stuff that you may not have heard before, but on the other hand you can look at it as like they're clearly trying to milk money out of these people that are fucking dead, right?
Yeah, and it's like, obviously when it's main band member, whatever it is, that's deceased, or it's this record label that's doing it, you're like, okay, you're obviously getting this money grab here, and it seems like it happens. It at these weird intervals where it's like, all right, money's starting to slow up. Let's throw up a triple deluxe version of Nevermind. You're like, what the fuck is
literally.
like, what happened, bro? What happened to cause this? Did Drake put out another album? Is it Pine Grove? Are you signing Pine Grove?
Yeah, did Pine Grove not work out the way you thought it would? Wait, real quick before you continue, it's funny. Trey's not gonna hear this joke because he's not on this episode, so he's not gonna listen to it because he only listens to hear his own voice.
He's not gonna be able to get off this week because that's usually how he does it. He just plays this back and fucking jerks off. So
Yeah.
he's just literally just sitting at his lake house, like sending himself voice memos.
And even if he wanted to listen to the episode, his neighbor's internet probably wouldn't let him stream it. It wouldn't be strong.
100% would not. Jesus Christ! But I will say, it's like one of those things. Like fucking, if you like it, listen to it. If you don't like, then don't. Like the album in its original version is fucking beautiful. People are gonna continue to do this, so it's like I get where they're coming from, but what the fuck are you gonna do? Complain at these record labels? So
yeah, while they sit and count their money, they're like, "Hey, they're like, look, another 43-year-old bought another version of Nevermind. What a fucking idiot!" Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love hearing like outtakes and B-sides and shit. Like, even if it's not fully, flushed out songs and ideas, I still think it's cool to kind of hear where they may have tried to go. And yeah, I mean, you can say the same thing about Circles with Mac, right? Like, it wasn't a finished album, but look how it turned out. So I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So on the list of top 500 greatest albums of all time by Rolling Stone, they have it at number 6, which I think is fair. I don't have the full list, so I can't see what is number 5 through 1. Oh, wait, here we go. Okay, so they have it above Rumors by Fleetwood Mac at number 7, and then Purple Rain, Prince is number 8. And then underneath it, the Beatles, Abbey Road. Number 4, Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. Number 3, Joni Mitchell, Blue. Number 2, the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. And number 1, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. I think stacked against those albums, it's pretty fucking insane that this is number 6. Like,
yeah.
With the people that they threw in 5 through 1, like the fact that Nirvana sits right above that is fucking crazy. And I think it's an accurate rating. I don't know where exactly I put it. It's a top 10 album of all time easily. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting that they have it at number 6. Okay, yeah. Anyway, with that being said, what do you want to give? You want to give a final ranking of what you think it is?
I'm gonna go 9.5.
Okay, that's very fair.
It's really. I don't know if there's ever gonna be a time on this podcast where I'm giving something a 10, just because like I don't know if anything is ever supposed to be ranked perfect. Like in my head, I have a really hard time doing that.
Right.
But this is about as fucking close as I can get.
Yeah, I think I can count on one hand the amount of albums I would give a 10. I can't remember if I gave Ready to Die a 10. I think I might have given it a 9.5 because it's pretty close, but we talked about those skits of Biggie having sex on the album kind of taking me out of it. But yeah, I can definitely, I mean, I know albums off the top of my head that I'm not going to say because I'll save them for when we actually review them, but there are a few, but yeah, it's hard. So I'll give it a 9.5 too. I mean, to me, it's probably my third favorite album of all time. It's my favorite band of all time, and there's not much to complain about on this album, right? Like, apart from Endless Nameless, there's just not much I don't have a positive thing to say about in one context or another. So I think 9.5 is a good place to set it at. So yeah, that was Nevermind. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely an album we were excited to do. I do wish Trey was here because it would have been interesting to hear his takes on it. But that's what he gets for living in bumfuck Alabama. I mean, I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you. There's not much we can do about that on our end. So,
Literally nothing. Yep.
so let's go into rides or dies. Should we include Trey's, or should we just act like he's not fucking here?
Oh, we're including Trey's.
Okay, I knew you were gonna say that.
For our listeners out there, if you don't follow us on social media, which you fucking should, either through the pod, Instagram, Totally Biased, or through us just individually, Trey made the mistake of letting us know that Pine Grove was his number one on his Spotify Wrapped, which Blake and I have continued to rake him over the coals for. And I will say, until today, I had not listened to a single fucking Pine Grove song.
That's
but I knew
it so much better. That's what makes
I was like,
it
this is fucking gotta be gay. So, in grand Trey fashion, he decides to send his ride or dies this week. And what is it?
It is
none
the
other
Alarmist.
than what is it?
The Alarmist by Pine Grove.
The Alarmist by Pine Grove. And now, and only now, can I say with full confidence that it is the goddamn worst shit I've ever heard in my whole fucking life. It's fucking whiny. Their vocals fucking suck. I can't even tell what genre of music it is, and I hate everything about it. This dies so fucking hard.
I gotta be honest, I have to agree with Christian here. This might die harder than that one Christian song that he sent that I railed against religiously. This might be the worst one we've had on this segment. Kind of by a wide margin too. It's not like close. It's like Christian and I were texting earlier about how bad this song was, and the only way I could describe it was like if Kurt Cobain had stayed alive, God rest his soul, and he had faded into irrelevance, and then in his mid-40s he tried to come back with a new sound. That's what this Pine Grove song sounds like. It's just whiny, like jam band music. It's like Blink-182 trying to be a jam band. It's just, there's no shortage of analogies I can come up with about how just bad this song is. And I'm a jam band guy. I retired from the electronic scene. I'm a jam band guy. I get it. But this isn't it, man. I don't know. It fucking dies. This is not it. All I have to say. Christian shaking his head. I wish you could see him. He looks so disappointed. It
doesn't even make sense. Like, and the funny thing is his confidence when he sent it to us. It was, I think y'all like this one.
Yeah.
Like, are you R-worded? How R-worded are you? And I hope you know that I respect you enough, Trey, that I'm not going to say the R word. But I hope you know that that's exactly what I think you are, is R-worded.
Okay, so my song was "Thank God It's Friday" by K-Flay with Tom Morello on guitar. K-Flay is an interesting artist. She's got some good songs. I don't really know what her genre would be. I guess it's kind of like pop music. I don't know. She's not like super popular. She's got some really good songs. Some I can give her take. But I really like this song. She has another one on this little project. 4-letter words that I really like, but Tom Morello gets real scratchy and weird with it like midway through the song, so I really liked it. I don't know, Christian, what did you think? I didn't think it would be y'all's type of song, but I wanted to send it anyway to see kind of how you felt about it. Go ahead.
I hate it. I hate it so much, bro. It sounds like a shitty girl's version of like Matt Schultz from Cage the Elephant.
What? No fucking way, dude. Bro,
yes. Anybody paint the link will be it'll be tracked on there. Like, you gotta fucking listen to this. It literally sounds like a female shitty version of Matt Schultz, like 100%. Which I know you love Cage the Elephant. This makes sense, except this is fucking horrible. This dies, bitch.
Okay. I mean, I guess if you, in your mind, that would make sense for me. I don't see it, but I see why you think it would make sense for me. But you're fucking wrong. And you know what? Just for that comment, I'm changing my opinion on your song.
No, you can't do this. It's got to be fair.
Okay, what's your song?
Mine's In the Cut V2. It's fucking Kendrick, Roddy Ricch, Drake, and I don't know how I actually think 9 times out of 10, my fucking Spotify Discover Weekly sucks. It's shit, but I listen to it religiously every week, just in the off chance
just to give it a shot.
Got something right, and this was on it. And the second that beat hit, I was like, bro, windows down, cool breeze, like palm trees around me, fucking drinking a 40.
Yeah.
It felt great.
Yeah, I will say, as much as you stabbed me in the heart back there a few seconds ago, this song definitely rides. This shit rides real fucking hard. It's a vibe, man. It's a great song.
Yeah.
I don't know who is the artist that it's credited under. Who is that person?
I can't even pronounce, like Nitin Randhawa. I have no idea.
Is it like a mashup thing, or like because I don't understand how I've never heard this song before, like with these artists featured on it. Like, oh, they're the producer. So I don't know, man. I don't know how this slipped under my radar, but it's a really fucking sick song.
Yeah. Let's see. Makes unofficial remixes of rap tracks in which he extends the songs by features more rappers. Sometimes he removes original artists. Blah blah. I gotta check this out now, because I was like, this is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Even I put it on like an Instagram story and just like put the song over it, and even Jalen was like, he hit me up and he was like, yo, this fucking song rides so hard.
Yeah, and
I was like, so shout out my boy Jalen. Yeah.
Here's the thing: getting a compliment musically from Jalen. You guys don't know this as much as I do, but it feels so good because he's so particular and picky about what he listens to and what he likes. And I always have a running joke that Jalen and I agree on nothing musically, like literally nothing. I will send him shit I am so hyped about, and he'll be like, meh. Like, and that's such a Jalen response. He'll be like, it was all right. I'm like, all right, man. I've listened to it 8 times today, but word, yeah, you're right. It's okay, I guess. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself, stab my ears so I can never hear music again.
Literally. Okay, that was Rides or Dies. I'm not gonna link Trey's songs. I don't want to put y'all through that, but I'm just kidding. I will. I will link the songs down below in the description. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a brand new segment, Blake's Terrible Twitter Takes.
God, he's gonna hate this so much.
Oh my God, it's the one thing he has, and we're stealing it out from under him.
Yo, I already have a theory too that he sent, because it's not him doing it. I think he sent less tweets for us to do.
Yeah, he did.
And he
There's
probably
only 3.
sent the worst ones. He probably sent the worst ones.
He probably had 6, and these were like his backup ones. These are the ones where he asked us, he's like, I have a few more if you want me to keep going. Those are the ones that he sent. Yeah. Those are the ones he sent us. Okay. So first one comes from Twink Bussy Chase Arrow Lan, at name Chase Killstrom. He says, they say, Ray veterans, what is one piece of advice you'd like to share with newbie ravers? Mine is always carry Play-Doh. Start assembling your Squishmallow army now so you can make candy squishes. Biggest tip, challenge strangers to weird dance battles. Tell people to have a good festival, and goddamn it, make that funny face. Very inspiring from Twink Bussy Chase Arrowland. So there's some tips for you future ravers. Christian, how do you feel about those tips? Is that something you would do at a rave festival? Would you tell people to have a good time, and would you make a funny face, or do you think that's not very important?
I like hate every single one of these so much, and it makes me hate like the electronic culture so much fucking more than I already do.
It's pretty bad because the electronic culture is filled with people like this. Like, first off, we don't need your tips, man. Also, I don't want to carry Play-Doh with me. I'm 28, so thanks, though. All right, I'm 27. Sorry, I forgot my age for a second. Okay. Next tweet is from Tommy Bayer at Tommy Bayer Time. Percocet would be a beautiful name for a girl. Which I tend to agree with him. I think it would be a beautiful name for a girl.
Yeah. It says Italian girl named Molly Percocet. Fucking, it's pretty great. I'm Molly Percocet.
I'm out of the Percocet. Hey. I'm walking here to my drug dealer to get some Percocet.
Pronounced Percocet if she's Italian.
Okay, this one is from Will Sennett at Senspud. Tell me why this Honda commercial is making me emotional. My dad's internal monologue. You should have died in that fire. Hang on, I didn't finish it. My dad's internal monologue. You should have died in that fire. You should have died in that fire. You should have died in that fire.
I feel like Trey has a thing for the repetition tweets too, because last week we had the fog is coming, the fog is coming, the fog is coming. That's
this
fucking
one
great.
Is so good because sometimes I'll say shit like that around my dad, and I can just see in his face, like in his mind, he's like, "God, just why? Just I cannot believe you're my offspring." Okay, I sent one, and this is from Mary Twigsmith at Not Pixie Tit. I'm employed at Starbucks, and we live in hell. The word Xmas is banned, and we're only allowed to say Happy Holidays. My coworker asked a child what Santa would bring her, and a manager overheard. They took him out and shot him in the head. They shot him in the fucking head.
This is the world you liberals want.
This is what Brandon wanted. Look what you fucking done by letting Kamala into the White House. How fucking dare you people? Wait until I send this to Diet Coke and they plan the second insurrection. They're going to be fucking furious.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, well, this is a little short, but I mean, hey, it's two of us. And you know what? I think it was a fucking damn good episode. I'll tell you that much. I laughed my fucking ass off, which is exactly what beautiful. I wanted. So thanks, Christian, for carrying this episode. I will say, look, man, I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but like, if there ever came a dispute like about money and like distribution and stuff, and like one other guy decided to leave the podcast, I feel like we could hold it down on our own. Not saying I want that to happen. Let me be clear. I'm just saying with this dry run, I feel like we did a pretty good fucking job. So thank you for tuning in.
Internally dialoguing that we wish Trey died in that fire.
Okay, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Follow the podcast if you haven't. We have stickers now. We're going to put them out in some places. If you see us in Colorado and you want one, hit us up and we'll get you one. But we will see you same time next week. We may have a guest on. I'm going to talk to you guys about that. But other than that, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks for sticking around.
As you were